My name's Harriet. I hack your AI, so the bad guys can't. Okay, we've talked artificial intelligence risk, attacks, security, safety, but who's there protecting us from all these potential attacks? Hi, I'm Harriet. Welcome to my channel. I missed the boat in computer hacking, so now I hack AI instead. And I'm here to help you understand how to secure your AI systems from attackers. If all of these different vulnerabilities and risks exist in artificial intelligence systems, well, who's in charge of preventing this from being the case? Well, the answer to this is that it's a responsibility for all of us. It's a responsibility for us as individuals to make sure that we are consciously using artificial intelligence in ethical ways, and that in our organizations, as we're implementing it, we're also implementing it in ethical ways. But at the end of the day, there's a big responsibility on the organizations who develop artificial intelligence to make sure that they're developing it well. There's a big responsibility on those organizations that implement artificial intelligence to implement it well. Those two organizations might not be the same, by the way. And then there's a big responsibility on governing bodies, so governments, to make sure that they have at least policies or recommendations on how artificial intelligence can be implemented and designed well. So I already have a video on AI governance around the world, and if you're interested in specific locations and how they do governance, go check that one out. But this one is more of a, my hot takes on governance and risk. And the thing that I notice, and is my particular bugbear, that while obviously almost every government has some kind of policy about artificial intelligence, right? Initially, all of these policies were more about adopting artificial intelligence, making sure that their particular country wasn't being left behind in the artificial intelligence rush. New capabilities, new technologies like AI is obviously really good for the economy. There can be really great quality of life benefits when it's implemented well, and every country wants to be known for innovation and being on the cutting edge, and AI is obviously one of those. So most countries have had some kind of AI policy on AI development and implementation for a long time, at least 10 years, say. And more recently, most countries also tend to have policies on AI ethics and AI safety. So this is ethical use of AI relating to, making sure it doesn't infringe on human rights. For example, things like targeted assassinations using facial recognition. That would not be considered an ethical use of artificial intelligence. Using artificial intelligence to get into my phone via facial recognition is an appropriate use in that case. Things like that. And then on the AI safety side, a lot of bodies do tend to have recommendations around appropriate boundaries or constraints for developing AI from that perspective. So things like making sure that it adheres to specific frameworks or policies that help to promote social good, help to minimize bias in algorithms and artificial intelligence, for example, and then again, specifying use cases where artificial intelligence isn't appropriate. Now, there are some key differences in how different countries tend to provide recommendations on artificial intelligence in that way. Some countries prefer to govern artificial intelligence in terms of the use cases. So they'll look at a specific use case or industry like healthcare, banking, military, and then decide how artificial intelligence should be used within that. Whereas other jurisdictions tend to recommend artificial intelligence-based requirements on the technology itself. So they make specific recommendations about how the technology itself should be designed, regardless of what use case or industry it's then used in. So here are some examples of this around the world. So this is the OECD AI Policy Observatory database, which is a database and platform of AI policies, initiatives, and trends globally. The OECD stands for the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, and they have a very good reputation for aiming to facilitate international cooperation and good resources. The data in this database comes from a variety of sources, including government reports and publications, international organisations, academic research, private sector and industry reports, and surveys and questionnaires. And the point of this database is to serve multiple purposes and used by a diverse group of stakeholders, including policymakers to help design and implement effective AI policies, researchers and academics to conduct comparative studies, industry leaders to stay informed about regulatory challenges and changes, public and civil society to gain insights into how AI is shaping society and governance, and international organisations. And as you can see, it provides a wide array of information, including policies and strategies, patterns and trends. Another key difference is that some countries prefer to actually regulate AI, so to force companies to do specific things when it comes to artificial intelligence, or they prefer to have more of a hands-off approach to, foster innovation, or maybe they just can't pass particular legislation, or they don't think that it's necessary at this stage. Here are some examples of that. Now, let's have a look at a few different key regions, the EU, the USA, and China. So, starting with the EU, you could say the European Union is quite regulation driven and very human centric. They emphasize a strong regulatory framework to ensure AI is developed and deployed responsibly, ethically, and transparently. And there is a big focus on this region on AI that respects fundamental rights, such as privacy, non discrimination, and human dignity. Now, the USA also has a lot of AI policies since they're a region which pours so much funding into AI, and you could say that they are, in general, quite market driven and really impacted by federal and state level policies. There is a big emphasis on fostering innovation and maintaining global leadership in AI. However, the difference between policies between the federal and state level can be a bit of a challenge for them. So, China's approach is different again. You could say that they're quite state driven and strategic. There's a top-down approach with significant government intervention and support to achieve strategic dominance in AI. And there is rapid integration of AI across various sectors, including surveillance, healthcare, finance, and transportation. Now, of course, these are very high-level overviews. Every country has similarities and differences when it comes to how they choose to govern AI, and there is also a big difference in the number of policies between different regions too. Now, my hot take on all this, obviously, is that I think this is fantastic. We need to be really mindful about how we're implementing artificial intelligence now, but I wish there was more about AI security. I rarely ever see recommendations about how to design AI to be secure from the start, and some organisations are starting to come out with things like this. NIST, ISO, bodies like the NSA have their AI Security Centre now. Most governments around the world are starting to think about it, but it's really lagging. And from my perspective, we need to be maturing this field as quickly as possible and working on it now. This is definitely an area where it's a bit slower off the mark than the AI safety side, but I am glad to see that there is some thought around it. Interestingly enough, the United Kingdom has recently established a new AI Safety Institute. This is something being proposed in other countries too, including Australia. For them, this institute is part of a broader strategy to position the UK as a global leader in AI innovation while addressing the potential risks associated with this rapidly advancing field, as every country wants to be a global leader in it. The primary objective of the AI Safety Institute is to ensure that AI technologies are developed and deployed safely. It will facilitate collaboration, advise on policies, provide grants, and conduct education and training. Now, while I'm not going to complain that more is being done to address AI risk, I do want to raise the question here. Given they name it the AI Safety Institute, is there a difference between AI safety and security, and is this part of the Institute's remit? If you've watched this channel enough, you know that I consider AI safety and AI security as distinct risks. The definitional camp I'm on sees AI safety as ensuring that systems behave as intended and do not cause harm, while AI security protects these systems from external threats and malicious attacks. Now, I'm interested to know your thoughts. Comment down below. Please support my channel by liking and subscribing so you don't miss an episode, and I'll see you in the next episode.